Jim Anderson joining us from the Wyoming Seminary Football Program. He's the head coach, and Jim, you spent a lot of years at King's College, and you find yourself now at Wyoming Seminary. Talk about taking on this new endeavor since February, and now here we are getting towards the end of the first season for you.
And needless to say, it seems like a blink of an eye. Fortunately for me, being a parent, having two children go through the Wyoming Seminary experience, I knew the community, and knowing the community, the ability to help me help our student athletes. I've learned that it's been a combination of the experience that I had at King's, but also the experience that I had at Dallas High School, and both of those are with Rich Mendola, who I've spent more than 25 years with. And the experience from both schools has helped me to combine what I feel is almost a small college environment of postgraduates, but also in terms of recruiting student athletes to come to Wyoming Seminary, which is not traditional, obviously, if you're from a public high school.
And let's talk about some of the guys that are here with us today, and who we're going to be talking with, and what they've been able to do for your team this year.
Well, we did two of our captains, and our captains are voted on by our players. Two of our captains are second-year student athletes from Canada, DeSean Dean and Austin Daya, but also Christian Roberts from both my Dallas experience, whom I coached 2 years ago, and he is a nominee for the Naval Academy, who is with us. And to be able to combine my years at Dallas and to be here, and he was with me originally from a leadership standpoint, but has come into service with injuries to our other postgraduates, where we play in a league where you're allowed to have 4 postgraduates play only. And so from the beginning, it was going to be a leadership experience for him, and now he's played the entire season for us. Has been a big part of my first year here, and the ability for him, knowing me beforehand, and then helping me with not only the younger players, but also in terms of becoming an active participant and doing a great job for us.
Jim, putting together a coaching staff, and we'll talk shortly with one of your assistant coaches with the program, and talk about putting your staff together and being able to do that and try to have some success.
I was involved in all aspects at King's throughout my 18 years at King's, but this is the first time that I've been a head coach, and so what I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to surround myself with experience, but also in terms of personalities that maybe necessarily we weren't alike, but would be able to reach the masses of the players and the team. And I had the opportunity when I was named the head coach, and had a chance to discuss an opportunity with Jim Norris, who was a former head coach at Pittston area, who was a Division I athlete at Lehigh University. And the makeup of Wyoming Seminary football and recruiting, I felt that he reached all aspects, his depth of knowledge and the skill positions, but also from a technical aspect of where he was, where he played, but also the recruiting aspect, and being a Division I athlete, and to be able to help our student athletes as they go through the process, with the majority that come to Wyoming Seminary that would like to play at the next level if possible. Randy Granger, who is the former Associate Dean of Students, moved back into a teaching role, and he has been at Wyoming Seminary for over 22 years and coached with 4 Wyoming Seminary football staffs. And for me to be able to have him, not only to learn the culture of Wyoming Seminary, but also the inner workings, and he has been pivotal with me with my learning curve for the first year. Joey Oliveri was a former player for us at King's, and Keith Lothert, who is coaching our quarterbacks, was not only my college roommate, but also coach the quarterbacks at Kings at the collegiate level. And so going into my first year, I was fortunate to be able to have the staff that I have.
Working side by side with Karen Klasner in your other role there at Wyoming Seminary in the athletic department, talk about what that experience has been like for you, because a lot of things going on and some new programs starting, and it's quite busy, I'm sure.
The one thing about the community at Wyoming Seminary is everybody, it's all in. And it's all in if somebody needs coverage with a class or a group or an organization. And I've learned that quickly, and you don't see that from a parent perspective. But the community at Wyoming Seminary, they're there to help you. And for me, with the learning curve that I've had coming from higher education at Kings and now with the athletic department, Coach Klasner has been great with me. I know when we first spoke and she spoke of retirement, I asked if we could please postpone that for a couple of years as we move through the process. And we meet every morning, and just her experience from being a dean of students, from being a coach to being an athletic director, I couldn't ask for the support that I've been given.
Jim Anderson, great to catch up with you, talk a little bit about football, a little bit about life, and of course continued success for you.
Thank you very much.
Jim Norris joining us from the Wyoming Seminary Football Program, and Jim, Coach Anderson has a lot of nice things to say about you, and saying how you kind of really fit the mold of what he's looking for, somebody strong in the academic area to work with student athletes at Wyoming Seminary, somebody with a lot of knowledge in the football area, and somebody else who knows how to handle young men, and obviously you fit that well. What's been your experience so far with Coach Anderson there at the seminary?
It's coming out of a public school, definitely a different environment. You're getting an opportunity to coach all levels of kids, both at the higher level, right? We have that opportunity to coach some players that are committed to Division I and Division I AA schools, and then you do have your traditional high school kids, some of the local guys that are role players on the field. One of the biggest differences, though, is you have that opportunity to, I think, to get to know some folks from outside of the area. Having a Canadian presence on the team from both Toronto as well as Quebec, getting to know the kids that come from different parts of the area locally is pretty unique to see how the Dallas kids mix with the Coughlin kids, and the Wyoming area kids mix with the Dallas kids. So I think those are all great attributes of coaching at SEM, and then the other aspect of it is that the academic aspect is so important in this prep environment that we're in. We are in a college prep atmosphere, and we want to work hard to present our players with an opportunity at their highest level placement from a college standpoint. So that's really unique, and it's really fun to be a part of.
For you, working with Coach Anderson, he seems like he's a pretty organized guy, pretty much into the rituals. Hey, we're going to do this at 5:28 to 5:34, and talk a little bit about, again, you come off as a head coach, and you're probably used to a lot of this stuff the way it is, but talk about just getting a different feel for working with somebody else like Coach Anderson.
It's actually a little bit of a relief and maybe a blessing in disguise, where you kind of take a step back from being a head coach, and you don't have to worry about the schedules and making sure you're on time and who's got the bus and who's doing all that stuff. As an assistant, you kind of get to focus on football, which is fun. But I've learned a tremendous amount working with Coach A. Kind of wish I was able to do that maybe before my head coaching experience. Working with a guy like this, but you learn a lot on and off the field. He's been managing and working with young men for a long time, with his experience at Springfield and with Kings, and getting to know him over the years, and now working with them. It's been a great experience.
I think my first impression in getting to know Coach Anderson is you learn a little bit more about being a man from him, and it's something just has a great gentlemanly feel to it. Talk a little bit about your experience with him with that. I could say in my short time in knowing him, I feel like I grew just a little bit.
Yeah, I think we work hard at that inside of the program. I think he would probably tell you it might be a little bit of a reflection of who he worked for in Coach Mendola, somebody who, you know, I have a tremendous amount of respect for and gotten to know over the years. So listen, I think a lot of head coaches, you know, we try to do that, right? Where it's beyond football, it's beyond Friday nights or Saturday mornings, and you're trying to really work hard to develop human beings, develop the person, and I think even more so now in this prep environment where it really is it's really about optimal placement after the prep graduates.
Jim, great to catch up with you, and continued success, and congratulations on working there at Wyoming Seminary.
Thanks, John.
Christian Roberts joining us from Wyoming Seminary here on the John Mendola Show as we talk football. And you're a postgraduate, you're at Dallas, and now you're at Wyoming Seminary. So let's talk a little bit about what your experience has been like with Coach Anderson.
It's been enlightening. I had him last year or 2 years ago at Dallas, and it's kind of the same process. And he instilling a new kind of vibe or feeling around the program here, and it's really great.
How about getting along with some guys? I know we're going to talk to a couple guys from Canada, and a little bit of guys from everywhere, some local kids, some guys from outside the area. So what's it been like for you getting to know them?
It's definitely eye-opening getting to play with different people from Canada and all that, because at Dallas we didn't really get that opportunity. But here at SEM we have local kids, we have kids from Canada, and we have kids from like Florida and Texas. So we got to get a full range of all the different players.
Let's talk about your positions on the field, wide receiver and quarterback, and talk about how you've contributed over on the defensive side with cornerback and how you've done over on the offensive side at receiver.
Well, I've been starting at cornerback on defense because of an injury to other PG that we had earlier this year. And I feel like I've done that job well thanks to Coach Anderson and his good coaching, and also the other DBs in that team have helped me and caught me up with the system that we're doing. And it's been the same thing on offense, is we kind of work together as a group, and when you don't know something, I'm not afraid to ask a question because everyone's so helpful in helping.
You like government and history as far as some classes, AP Gov? Talk a little bit about what you enjoy about those.
I like the AP Gov class at Wyoming Seminary because the teacher there is very open, and like it's very discussion based. So like we can ask questions, and it's not really notes, it's not like lecturing, it's more open, and it involves the class more, and I like that way.
The next step for you is to attend the Naval Academy. Talk about where that came from, that inspiration to do that.
That mainly came from my parents, and I'm a very family-oriented person. And my mom served in the Navy, my dad was in the Marine Corps. So that kind of gets the best of both worlds, going to the Naval Academy, because they both come out of there.
Talk a little bit about that, and I'm sure there's some bragging rights in the family between the Navy and the Marine Corps. But talk about whether it's a very structured environment that you've had most of your life, following rules and different things.
Yeah.
You would know no differently if you didn't have it.
Exactly.
But what's it been like being you?
It's definitely been an experience, and it definitely helped me to develop into the person I am. And that's why I cannot do nothing but thank my parents for that, and why I also feel like I want to serve in the military, because that's all I've known, and I feel like I'll fit in perfectly there.
Well, it's pretty darn exciting. And then tell us a little bit about your folks and all the things that they've given you, and all the things they do to try to keep inspiring you and support you in everything you've done. I mean, you go from Dallas to Wyoming Seminary, so I'm sure you've had an interesting ride overall.
Oh, definitely, for sure. It's definitely been interesting going from like a public school like Dallas, then transitioning to Wyoming Seminary. It's where I'm not at home every day. I don't get to see my parents. It's like a middle step between here and the Naval Academy. And they've been nothing but support me. They are always there for me. Anytime I get have a long day, I know I can call them, and it's amazing. You have a couple of older siblings, and how about your relationship with them and some things you've learned from them as well? My sister and my brother have definitely impacted me, being older, and they've shared knowledge with me that I wouldn't have been able to learn. I would have learned it the hard way, but they kind of instilled on me to be better and to help out. And my sister especially, I can't thank her enough. Ultimate goal for you, Naval Academy, and what are some goals that you have in that Naval Academy and what you want to do after? In the Naval Academy, I want to be a lawyer, a JAG Corps lawyer, and then I want to serve for probably 15 to 20 years, and then come out and continue being a lawyer.
Sounds like a great plan, and you sound just like the guy who's going to get it done, Christian. Thank you so much for your time, and the best of luck.
Thank you for having me.
DeSean Dean joining us from the Wyoming Seminary Football Program. And DeSean, let's talk about what's your experience been like in getting to know Coach Anderson this year.
Well, Coach Anderson coming in this year, it was great. Right off the bat, he came in April, and he wanted to get to know the team, so he was around us all the time. We had our 6 a.m. workouts. He was always there, spotting us in the weight room, prep talking us, always being the best coach and helping us be the best we can be, making us feel comfortable.
How about you fitting in and trying to get to know some of these STEM guys from, locally here, and then, obviously some guys like yourself from a different area, and just trying to fit in and make sure you guys could do your best and be your best?
Yeah, exactly. So he always preached about us getting together more as a teamwork, and the guys from the local guys always made it easy. They always would offer to give us rides, go take us out to eat, and they're always around to always give us the whereabouts and when to do certain things.
You're a track and field guy back in high school,
Yes.
and talk a little bit about what event you competed in and what you were pretty darn good at.
I was a shorter racer, so speed more, so 100 and long jump were two of my specialties. I like that.
And on the field, you're a wide receiver and defensive back. So talk about some things that you feel like you do pretty well in both of those areas.
I feel like my biggest strength for when it comes to football is my quickness and my route running. Yeah.
As far as this year's team, and you guys trying to compete against other schools, talk about growing as a team, and whether they're measured in wins or losses, or whether it's, hey, we're getting better in certain areas. What will you take out of this season with one more game to go this weekend?
I feel like our play always depends on how we practice, and you could tell we have weeks where we're great together and we work well in practice, and that always gets us through. And so practice has been the most important thing to us this year.
You want to play some college football and major in
kinesiology.
Talk a little bit about, as I get my glasses so I can look a little better at the paper. Tell me a little bit about where that may be.
Right now, I'm not 100% sure yet, but anywhere that I feel is going to be the best fit for me and help me have the best future I can have.
Let's talk a little bit about your mom as a role model, what she has done for you and continues to do.
Well, my mom comes out to every home game, even though it's a 6.5-hour drive. Always send me good morning texts, supports me, calls me, checks on me, makes sure I'm good. She's always there to take care of me. Love my mom.
What's not to love? 6.5 hours she drives to see her son play some football. That is crazy stuff.
I know.
You gotta love it. Math and biology. Talk a little bit about those subjects.
For me, it's always been the type of subjects that it's either right or it's wrong, and that's what math and biology is to me. I'm not much of an English guy where it's interpretation, but when it comes to right and wrong, that's what I like, and that's what I like in math and biology.
Like your thought process, no doubt about it. Well, sounds like you have an interesting future, that's for sure.
Thank you very much.
And you talk about this volunteer work and some of the stuff you've done there.
So at SEM, we have one day a year called the Service Day, where we like to go out around the community and do a whole bunch of things to volunteer around. And we also did the Travis Manion Foundation as a team at the end of last year, where we went around and cleaned up parks, all for Travis Manion and Kobe Umbro, who was a SEM alum, who we just retired his jersey at homecoming the other day.
You're also involved in that business club too?
Yes, sir. I like to keep my options open, so even though kinesiology, I feel like business would be a good side thing to have.
Well, a guy with a bright future, is no doubt about it. It is DeSean Dean. We appreciate your time, and go get him, and I'm sure your mom will be rooting you on this weekend.
Thank you.
Austin Dietz joining us here on the John Mendola Show, a senior safety wide receiver at Wyoming Seminary. And Austin, talk about where you come from and how did you find Wyoming Seminary?
So I live just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I got recruited to a bunch of prep schools down in the south. Took a couple of visits, and I ended up at home at Wyoming Seminary.
What was your Canadian experience like playing football compared to now? Here you are playing in the States.
Yeah, well, Canadian football is a little different with the 3 downs, different field size, and I would say the competition down here is a lot better. People are a lot more intense. People are players are a lot more passionate, I think, and the funding here is a lot better. I'm glad that I came down here. It was a great experience.
You also did some rugby, yeah?
Yeah, at my old school, Canada, in Canada, rugby is a big sport. Two of my cousins actually were on Team Canada, national team for rugby, and I mean that kind of helped my transition to football as well. Tackling, it's almost a similar sport.
You're a busy guy in school, mock trial, a business club, and resident advisor. Talk about being involved in everything.
So this year I was privileged to become the resident advisor on the third floor of Carpenter Hall, which I live, because I'm from Canada. I have to be a boarder at my school right now, so I help kids if they have any questions. A little bit more experience than some of the freshmen. Business club is just something fun I like to do on the side, and mock trial. In the future I want to go to law school, so that's something I'm passionate about.
Two brothers?
Yeah.
Both older? I'm sure some of that maturity that you come across with came from them.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of them, and obviously I learned a lot from them, which is a good thing too.
Overall, math and English, a couple of your favorite subjects.
Yeah.
Talk about those.
My math class, we were really collaborative. I love talking in class, so that's a big perk. English, I mean, I want to go into law, so writing is just another component of it.
College football and law school, a couple things that's up next. Where's that going to be?
I don't know yet. There's a lot of options across the board. Hopefully I'll be announcing it soon and be able to sign on signing day.
States, Canada, what are we looking at?
Either one. We'll see which one provides the best opportunity.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're wide open. Let's talk a little bit about your mom and dad and what they've done for you to inspire you and support you.
I'm forever grateful for them. I mean, without them, I wouldn't be here having this interview or playing football down in the States. So I give all thanks to them. They're a big positive role model in my life, and they made me who I am today.
Let's talk about Coach Anderson and then some of the guys you got to know at Wyoming Seminary and that experience.
So coming down, there was actually a group of Canadians that came down. There was about 6 or 7 of us, and we had a strong junior class. We're all seniors now, so we were kind of like the backbone of the team. And obviously with Coach Kelly leaving and getting a new coach, there was some worry about it, but Coach Anderson really kick-started things, and our team really took off. I feel like this year we had a really good team chemistry, having a lot of guys that returned, and Coach Anderson has a great energy. He knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy, so practices will run smoothly. We won a lot more games than last year, which is a good thing. We're trying to end up on a positive note, so that's good.
SEM community is pretty strong knit, and obviously a lot of sports. Field hockey is really strong, and wrestling strong. And, they play some ice hockey and different things, and they're hoping to get the football back a little bit. And back in the day, and there's so much history with it. Talk about you kind of fitting in that community at Wyoming Seminary.
The great thing about SEM is that everyone's smart, but they also play a sport. They do something else. So we have a really strong community in the sense that, like, the field hockey players, they'll come to our games, we'll come to their games, we'll cheer them on. So we have a really good student section, and everyone's always pushing to have the best sports team. There's always a really good, healthy competition around campus, which is good.
Austin, great to meet you. I wish you the very best. I know you're going to have a lot of success.
Appreciate it. Thank you.